Hey, good morning, guys. Brian at Waynesboro Auto Glass, or well, I guess it's not really good morning. Kind of depends on when you're watching this and where you're watching it from. I got thru for today at dealership here. Actually, this one was added on last minute as a back glass windshield replacement. I'm not doing the calibration on this because they do their own calibrations, and then I got a rock chip repair. I've already prepped my glass, wet scrubbed. I wait for primer until I actually prime the bodies on these. Nissan Rogue, and GMC Sierra. This truck is beautiful, but I'm gonna get this rock chip going. I'm gonna do a pre-scan on this. I always do a pre and post scan, just that way if there are any codes or anything like that, I can go over that with them after I take the keys back, so that way they kind of know what's going on, and that I am aware of those issues, so that way I know if there was any problems, then I know if it was there in fact beforehand or not. So not too far down. I used to not drill my repairs, but I've gotten more so to where if it's got a tight impact point, I'm gonna drill on it to open it up. This one may not need it. I don't know if you can see that right there. That's weird. I opened the door and the thing came out and then it went back in. I wonder if it's because I bumped up against it. That was weird. Alright. That looks decently open. I'm just gonna kind of clean it up a little bit. Got this really nifty alignment pin. You can get this at from Delta Kits. I ordered it on Amazon. I didn't even realize when I ordered it through Amazon I was actually ordering from them. But whoops. Yeah, it just goes in like that. Line it up. See how it kind of pushed out a little bit, but I know it's there. And then just kind of level this out. Pull that out, flatten that down a bit. If I get sounding hoarse or anything like that, I've been sick for a little bit. Really kind of starting to get over it, but energetically speaking, I'm feeling it still. All right. So we're gonna let that sit. Back that off a little bit. Lay that down. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and pause it, do this pre-scan, and then I'll get started tearing these apart. All right. I'm gonna lay that down. Even though I'm at a dealership, I still want to keep clean. Alright, so this is a warranty, and they asked me that I keep actually some of this glass. I'm not going to keep the glass itself. I'll probably dispose of that, but I'll just keep like the urethane trimming and give that back to them. Alright, got my panel tool. I need my 14. And I think that bag glass might be a 10. No, it's not. Is that a 14 also? No, it's not. It's 13. That stuff there. Alright. I've never actually done a Rogue this new. I think I've helped assist on one back when I worked for another company. And typically, you know my rule, I don't like to leave cameras hanging. Well, hold on a minute. That I can, So I have a little pocket screwdriver, and to me it's one of the best tools in the world to use doing this. Wait, why was the car still on? It's one of the best tools to use in the world for me. And I lost mine yesterday, or no, not yesterday. I lost mine on Christmas Eve. Yeah. It's got a magnet on it, and I have these pockets on my sleeves, and they usually get caught on metal, and it'll pull out of my pocket very, very carefully. I'd rather transfer this over if I can. Well, it's not in the cards, so I'm just gonna plug that back in, leave it as is, and then continue on with my journey here. Don't lose that. Okay. I cleaned my cups the other day, and this one's not wanting to stick now. Alright. Let's see, there it is. Look at that. Nice, okay. Yeah, I've never actually taken one of these apart. I think I have helped with like cutting out and stuff like that. Setting. Those would have been my short-lived time as a district manager. Okay, look at that. Got that one apart too. Geez, that rubber is already dry rotting. Look at that. Huh. Alright. Set that down. Ready to cut this out. Easy. Oh, look at that. Holy. Wow, that sucks. So this vehicle's been sitting outside for a bit. Glass has been on back order. Man, it's been taking on so much water. That sucks. Anybody wants to know about this sheet? It's just a shower curtain. So I'm gonna close that in there. And the reason why I do that is to keep as much of the mess from going that way as possible when I push that in. So, all right. First things first, I'm gonna try and get ahead of the game, because I've been kind of bouncing around a little bit here, and it's taken me some time to actually get going on these jobs. Looks like it's gonna rain today, but not supposed to. It is a high of, I think I was saying high 60s, but it feels like it get up to 70 again in December. Time for a new file. Time for a new file. Okay. Oh shit. Okay, see, Easy does it back at that corner again. There we go. Hey, I was transferred. Okay. It's getting tight. Okay, here we go. Around the corner. Okay. Let's see. Move this over here just in case. Don't know if I'll actually need it, but just to have it over here. All right. I'm gonna use my push knife on this. Press blades aren't always long enough. Hey. Man, those leaves falling, it sounds like it's raining, but It's like it's fall all over again. Okay. All right, next side. That's it. I'm gonna keep that right there. I'll need that in a second to clean the pinch weld. Yoink. Man. All right. Need to get back out. Probably should have pushed on that before I walked away. Just to make sure. Oh, I'm at it. I'm sure this side is stuck too. Not anymore. If it was, not anymore. The thing about vehicles like this is you don't always necessarily have to have the door open to get to the side like this. Hey, hey. Oh. Brushy, brusha. I'm gonna get these. Pop to top. That right there. Cleaning the pinch weld. So I don't know how many of you guys that subscribe or follow are actual glass technicians. I haven't quite figured out how to look at like who is subscribing on YouTube. I know there's some glass techs, but just out of curiosity, so I actually just started kind of studying up for my AGSE master certification, because it's due to expire on the 31st. And kind of going through that process, I'm working on making my business a part, or a member of that organization as well. Training has always been very, very important to me. It was something, I wasn't trained within my first year of doing glass. I started in 2003, but then got hired with a really, really good company that was very, very particular about training, and ended up being a really great program. I was NGA certified, which then that kind of evolved into AGSE certification. And I worked for a company that wanted their technicians to be master certified, so I became master certified. That was roughly 2012. No, it was probably like 2013, I think. And I've been master certified ever since. So I've been master certified 10 to 12 years. I'm not sure exactly, so let's just call it 10, just to, well, no, because actually I managed a shop for 9 years, so that was before that. So it's probably been 11 or 12 years actually that I've been master certified. But in either case, in doing so, I kind of did some research on like things that I can do, just because they've kind of changed the way you have access to study material. You have to be a member in order to get that that material, or you have to go through a training program. I don't have money for either. So came across James Chapman's podcast, Put 'Em on the Glass. Started listening to one that he had about AGSE certification, how to go about doing it and all that stuff, which, I mean, I already knew all that, but a lot of good information either way. I really just kind of dove in and really started listening to that podcast. Listened to probably 4 or 5 episodes, and decided, you know what, I need to go back to the beginning. I need to see kind of really his start and evolution and stuff like that. James has been installing for as long as I have. Actually, he's got me by a month. So but yeah, he's got a lot of good information. Seems like a really good guy. I almost feel like him and I are twins in a sense, because of having similar stories in our progression through the industry and whatnot. But all that to say, it's a lot of good information. So if you guys are in the industry and want to educate yourself some more, he's got a lot of good information in that podcast. I think it's really awesome what he's doing. All right, time to switch her up. Man, the humidity and stuff, it feels like it could rain. Okay, there's that. Talking about that podcast though, and really kind of his background and where he came from, just to kind of explain my background. I'm originally from Lansing, Michigan. Met my wife at Target. Her and her family, they're originally from Michigan as well. They migrated down to Tennessee for a General Motors plant that was built just north of where I'm at. I'm in Columbia right now. And anyways, she moved back to Michigan for a little bit. I wonder, this feels like it might be tinted. She moved back to Michigan. She got a job at Target as a manager. She was at my store for training. That's how we met. We fell in love very, very quickly, which, you know, I love my wife to death. So we've been married to over 22 years, been together for 23. I'm gonna just lay this down here. Moved to Tennessee. I was working at Taco Bell. I needed to make more money, so her uncle at the time, it wasn't blood, it was by marriage. He was in the glass industry, and the company that he was working for was Glass Masters. They needed somebody to train, so he told me that I needed to apply. So I went ahead and I applied, got the job. I started, it might have been May also, I don't know. But I definitely know I was there June. I always tell people June, but I may have started in May as well. I don't remember. I worked there until December of that year. I got homesick. I really wanted to go back home to Michigan. Kind of felt like, you know, Tennessee life wasn't really for me. So moved back to Michigan that December. That was a Christmas gift from my parents to us. And got back into glass. I worked for a company called Auto Glass Specialist, owned by Bob Burkhauser. He also owned Aegis Tools International and Performance Achievement Group, the training company. So, and that's where I credit my training, is Performance Achievement Group. And anybody unfamiliar with Performance Achievement Group, it was operated by two gentlemen, Steve Coyle and Jeff Ritchie, who, you know, Jeff Ritchie and a guy named Phil out of Cadillac, Michigan, actively had hands-on training for me. That's who trained me. I might need, there's no marks. I don't like that. I'm gonna have to run the body on this. That's who had involvement in training me. I don't know, actually. That might be okay. Oh, I didn't scrub high enough. Alright, I'm gonna have to redo that. I thought it was down at the bottom edge. So anyways, that's who trained me, and I've been pretty much in the glass industry ever since, aside from a couple times of trying to escape and get out of it. Alright, so I just need to scrub this bottom section, so I've already prepped the rest. When I worked for Auto Glass Specialist, they sold out to Belron. It wasn't actually Safelite. This was during Belron working on the acquisition for Safelite. We got bought first. That acquisition may have been in the process. I could be wrong about that. It's kind of hard to say. Back then I wasn't really in the politics of the industry, so I didn't really, you know, follow that too much. Later on I kind of did a little bit of research. But in either case, the economy kind of fell apart in 2006, and I was let go from there October of 2006. From there, I thought I was just gonna, you know, sit on unemployment. I'd go back to school because my passion was always graphic design. I'm an artist, so that was kind of my thing. And after a little bit, decided it wasn't going to work. We actually ended up going through a bankruptcy. I lost a couple cars, and decided ultimately it was probably time to grow up more, and we moved back to Tennessee. I went back to Glassmasters, but I told the manager, hey, look, you know, I know what I'm doing now, so and I know the liability involved in doing this. If I'm going to come back, you need to buy primers and gloves for me, because, you know, I want to do it the right way. So he turned around, he bought gloves, primer for me and stuff. And I went through that first bottle, and I tried to get him to buy me some more. He wouldn't buy any more for me. Inevitably, I only lasted a month. On a Saturday, I was driving to Nashville from home on my day off, and got a phone call from the manager, and he was pissed because I went out to do an 848. I was left by myself, stranded, because I was riding with another tech. He left me at the job to go and do another job, and I sat there for forever. But, you know, also inevitably, you know, ultimately what happened was the customer's locking strip was deteriorating. It was falling apart. And I told him he needed a new one. And he said, well, I thought that was included. And I'm like, well, you know, I would think it should be. And that got back to the manager. He didn't like that. And we ended up having some words. And when I was driving to Nashville, I was on my way to my interview with Jack Morris Auto Glass. And he fired me, and I showed up, and I ended up getting the job. So I started that Monday. Everything worked out really good. I was with Jack Morris for years. I was with him for 5 years. Went and left, tried to get out of it. Came back, went to work for another company. Because at the time when I left Jack Morris, I was only making $15 an hour. I never got a raise. I was there for 5 years, never got a raise. I was making $15 an hour for 5 years. And went to work for another company, got treated for, you know, what I was actually worth, you know, and that was no fault of the owners, you know, for Jack Morris. That was all on the manager. But eventually, when I was working for that company, the store manager, one of the store managers, came to me and said, hey, we really need you back. They're talking about opening another store. They want you to find it. And then I ended up talking to the district manager, and same thing. He said, yeah, we're looking at opening a store between Columbia and Franklin. We want you to find it, and we want you to run it. That's exactly what happened. So, but yeah, that's a little bit of the take on my history. I work for myself now. But other than that, I'm gonna go ahead and get vacuuming on this. So. Before I do this next part, let me go ahead Here they are. Okay, here we go. Kind of hard to do a pull test with the way they've got this design right here. Yeah, that's crazy. Alright, let me hang that right there where it's not going to rub on anything. Very carefully, look at that. All right, don't break that on there. Okay, there we go. Okay, and I gotta save that. Let's see. That's gotta be saved. Yeah, that's gotta go back. They don't need anything else. All right. How's it looking? Alright, let me put some vacuum on it. It's been sitting on pressure for quite a while. Okay, let's see, goes down about right there, and then up. Right there. Actually, the corner cuts in a little bit. go. Oh man, come on now. Alright. Wasted a primer stick because but that's okay. It's like I've got too many, you know. They don't give me enough. Okay, I'm gonna start my bead right here. Run it around. Okay, time to vacuum some more. I'm gonna grab this long hose. There's Willow. There's the mascot. Hi, baby. She loves riding with me. If she doesn't ride with me, she's mad. Nice and easy. This thing won't stay on. Okay. Come on. Dang it. I don't know. That's part of the body. That's glued on. This trim piece right here is glued onto the body. So I haven't done one of these either. I have done some of the body style before this, so I know this is all one piece. I know this comes off now though. They got kind of smart about it. That's good. Let's see, let me Shake, shake, shake. Okay. Look at all that glass that's falling out right there. You see that? Same thing on this side. I'm not gonna be able to do anything about that. Alright. Take my safety glasses off. I'm gonna go ahead and prime the body, and then from there I'm gonna finish cleaning out the back glass. I may put the windshield in on that Rogue. Okay, dang it. I got a little excited. I always widen my band when I'm running the glass. Actually looking at switching to another urethane. I'm still gonna use DuPont. Always have used Dow products, but I'm looking at using the new Ace. My biggest concern with that stuff was, like, how am I gonna know where the glue goes if I don't have a prime line to follow? So I've kind of figured that out. Gonna be going back to some old ways, like old auto glass specialist ways. If you're not already, subscribe and follow, and I'll be getting into details on how I'm gonna go about doing that. So that'll be very, very interesting for you guys to see and want to see, really. Alright, so one thing I see is actually, you know what? I bet they did that on purpose. Oh. Yeah. So the bead of glue doesn't follow the shape of the glass to where it dips right here. If you actually see, it goes straight across. I bet you the reason why they do that is because in colder climates, you don't want water to collect right here, because otherwise it can freeze and cause that back glass to explode. Yep, I bet that's exactly why they do that. All right. these are pumped up. Huh. Yikes. That was an awkward set, but it worked. Wow. Alright. Yeah, I didn't plan for it to go like that. It's a little tight. And I didn't mess up the fender either. Oh. I need to fix my primer line. Come on, there we go. Make that go straight across. Come on, right there. Right there. All right, just put that on another pressure cycle. Got the inside of that cleaned up, so I just realized that there's only a half panel right here. Actually, I see I got more vacuuming to do. All right, let me get this in real quick. That set up and then hit the vacuum, because once this glass is in, I'm not gonna be able to get to that broken stuff down at the bottom, so I need to make sure I get it all cleaned up. Alright, running out just a hair. I'm gonna snag this back up real quick. need to grab that hose again. That one right there. Shut the door to keep Willow in. Watch out. Watch out, Willow. Hey. What you doing, baby? Alright, hold on. You guys stay here, okay? Not done yet. There's that hole. There's that one. All right. right. I'm gonna go ahead and call it. I'm gonna get these wrapped up. Still got to put that one back together, put that one back together, finish the repair. Other than that, everything's torn apart and put back into place. So I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.